Creatives on Jess TV, hosted by Alan Greenstein. Our special guest is Fiona Kida, writer, director, and musician. We will discuss her upcoming project Two Timing Gemini and compare it to an earlier project, Blue Hour, with respect to writing. We will also discuss her role as a writer's assistant on the Netflix series Bridgerton, other projects, and her music and the best way to use music in her projects. This is a recording of a live broadcast, so expect some imperfections during the show. There was some editing performed on the original recording. Enjoy the show.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Support Our Hashtag Creatives. And my name is Alan Greenstein. My brand, Support Our Hashtag Creatives. My brand, we level the playing field for underrepresented creatives and artists so that they have the same opportunities as everyone else to get their works created, distributed, and seen. I'm also on the board of directors of the Bella Levy Foundation, and the goal of the Bella Levy Foundation is to fight human trafficking and provide a safe haven for its warriors. So I'm so excited tonight to have as our guest writer, director, a musician, and all kinds of great stuff, Fiona Kida. So Fiona, why don't you introduce yourself and we'll be on our way.
I don't know if I can follow that up, Alan. I feel like you've got this down pretty good. I feel like, honestly, I should just have you with me everywhere to just be my introductory person. Wow, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm a writer, director, musician, producer, just do all of the things that make projects come to life. Been very fortunate and lucky to know Alan and to be able to make my projects, and I'm excited to be making another one this year.
Yeah, I'm always excited when people that I've been following for a while, continue to grow with their new projects and stuff like that. Yeah. Okay, we'll get right into it. Let's start with your new project called Two Timing Gemini. Tell us about that.
Oh, about that project. Well, it's a passion project I've been wanting to make for a really long time, and it's been a long time coming, not only on the creative side, logistically getting all the pieces together, resources, wherewithal to rally and get people, able to reach out and get people on board to work on making it with me, but also just like on an emotional level. I think as a creative, something that is often skipped over is the emotional bandwidth and toll that making each project takes, and it is a lot of putting yourself on the line vulnerably. It's a very vulnerable process. It's very risk forward, and that's exactly kind of what birthed the idea of this project, was kind of that dancing line as a creative whenever you want to make a project and you're so passionate and you feel like a responsibility to bring this project to life, but the dichotomy with also the personal toll it takes, not only to you but the people around you, and wondering which cost is worth it, which one is something that you should value more. And so that's why it's called two timing, because you're seeing in this very compressed window of time, like 10 minutes, you're seeing an artist have to debate whether they should choose to power through and just keep making what they want to, but what if that project can have like a slight moral conundrum as a ripple effect? Is it worth it to take or not? And yeah, it was literally it's a little bit meta is what I would say. Actually a lot of it meta.
Meta. Yeah. So when you say meta, what do you mean by that?
I mean, it's a process that I think any other creative artist can relate to. Like I made this project about painting because I just thought it's like the most compressed still image and like raw art form that I know of, like one of the oldest ones. I work as a filmmaker. I also make music, but I was like, this is a perfect visual encapsulation of all of this ephemeral emotion into one compressed piece. But I think like if you're a writer, if you're a dancer, if you're like a poet, anything that you're creating stuff and you're putting yourself on the line, it costs also the amount of people you're asking to get on this boat with you to make this project with you. Or even if it's not a project that enforces you to get other collaborators, if you're even just a painter, in order for you to be inspired to have a muse, if you're making the Mona Lisa, who is the woman? Who is that person? There's always someone else who's engaged with it that you're pulling in the resource and the idea from. And I'm like, that what is meta about it is that like sometimes I worry like are we as artists taking too much? Are we asking too much of the people around us? Are we asking too much of ourselves and not just being at peace with our life, being very calm and normal by having these really lauded dreams? And that is where it gets a little bit meta, because, you know, the story birds from a personal situation with a slight like friendship that went awry, and then me realizing how it wasn't even about that particular friendship, but just like any story I ever want to make, it's always going to be connected to other people. And so that's what I mean by it's meta. And the last little anecdote I'll say is I do not view myself like the lead of this protagonist, because it's a very saucy film, I will say. It's a very salacious lead, but the decisions they make are kind of me wondering, like, for the people who choose to go towards their ambitions over, you know, caring for their moral conundrums, like, oh, it's just it's a really dense piece of work that took a lot of introspection. That's why it's meta. I could surmise it as that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like there's a lot of you in this, and I envision that you're doing this project, you probably grew in your abilities and how you can be honest about, even just being honest about yourself.
Yeah, no, it's forcing me to, and that's what's made me so scared to make it for the longest time, is because I'm like, wow, we're really asking the tough questions with this one.
Oh, well, I mean, I really congratulate you for taking this path, because it's really, people are going to learn a lot, and it's going to send a great message to people, I think. So,
thank you. I hope it gives them courage to love the people around them more.
yes. Let's hope that's going to be the case.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, I'd like to mention here now on the screen, June DeGiso, filmmaker that I've worked with on many projects, and he's a great fan of the podcast. So welcome, June.
Yeah, I saw the comment. Hello. Whoa, I can't see who else is watching, so this is so cool. That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So things change, from project to project. I want to go back to one of your earlier projects, which is called Blue Hour, and I'd like you to kind of try to relate how your style of writing or the way of approaching the project may have changed between Blue Hour and Two-Time Gemini. So first, briefly tell us what Blue Hour was about, and then would you be able to express how, as I said, your writing has changed over those two projects?
No, those are great questions. I would say with Blue Hour, oh man, I made that project 4 years ago. Can you believe how long we've known each other? Yeah. But yeah, the last short film was about capturing a moment that didn't actually like happen in reality, or it was supposed to be an imaginary state. The Blue Hour was supposed to encapsulate like the time of day right after sunset, but right before nighttime, when it's magic hour, really. But when the sky's kind of an indigo and a blue, and you kind of can't tell what time of day it is. You can't tell, like, is this the dawn? Is this day? It just feels like a dreamlike state. Oh, wow. And it was exploring all this conversation. It was exploring a day between two best friends, and one of them is about to leave for an indefinite amount of period of time out of the country for a job offer. And the other one is kind of trying to express their feelings and emotions for the other friend, having turned deeper, and neither of them having ever confronted or addressed like the emotions that were clearly there between them, but imagining what would have happened if they did, but being grateful ultimately for, even if nothing happened on the surface level, that the emotional growth that the protagonists had themselves to have just learned more about themselves from this other person, that was still worth it in the end at all, to have experienced this friendship, to have experienced this person who had taught them something new about themselves. And so that's what Blue Hour was about, was the last project. And I would say that I've been really grateful the last few years to concentrate on making my writing a lot more concrete. I think all of my projects, I really love to delve into like the most deepest part of myself as an artist, like what am I feeling in this moment, and extract that, and then times 10 and put a spotlight and have 50 people around, like it becomes quite dramatic. And I think over the past few years, I've worked really to not only tighten the plot to feel more, how do I phrase this? Yeah, I think it's just it's constructing a tighter plot for me and having uh infusing a lot more comedy in my work. I think that's the most
Oh,
overt thing people have told me is that like all of my work now is a little bit of a dark comedy. The drama is still there, the heartfelt emotions are, the nuance is still there. I'm clearly still obsessed with characters that hold a lot of nuance and complexity and are very flawed. But I think I've grown to learn how much comedy can open us up much quicker to assessing ourselves you know, in these really tough ways, but a little bit more easier. And so, like, I think that's maybe the biggest shift I've seen in my work. It's just tonally, I dance between comedy and drama a lot more balanced now.
oh, wow, that's amazing. That's fantastic. Yeah, the length of both projects pretty much the same length, both short films.
Yeah, both of these are short films, although, you know, wishfully, knock on wood, this goes well, it can be expanded. It's a proof of concept for a larger project. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, that's one of your goals is to have a feature.
Maybe like next year. Let's take baby steps. We've got a lot of stuff to accomplish this year.
Yeah.
But yeah, if it, you know, got some bites, I would love to expand this little world, this little nook and cranny.
Yeah. Well, that is a great goal, of course. So I hope
Thank you,
that
thank you.
I hope we get there. Yeah.
Fingers
Yeah.
crossed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Okay then. We're gonna stop for a brief commercial, okay? And we'll be right back. I'm Alan Greenstein, founder and producer at Support Our Hashtag Creatives. At Support Our Hashtag Creatives, I offer a number of services to support those developing a project. Check out the services tab of my website at supportourcreatives.com. If you are interested, please use the contact tab on my website or email me directly at alan@supportourcreatives.com. Hey, we're back. Okay, let's talk about your music.
Oh,
Okay, okay. Tell us about how you got into music, and that'll drive some additional questions after that. And did that come before filmmaking? After? What happened? Where does it fit in?
it did. It did. Actually, music was my first foray into the arts, and I've been doing music for longer than film and TV. And anytime I get lost in writing or directing stuff or produce like anything to do with, you know, cinema, or TV, I always ground myself back into music because I just think there's a lot larger of a range of emotions that can be understood through sound than in writing. Even though it's an interesting connection that I have between sound and music and picture and visuals. Like whenever I can't quantify what I'm trying to write, I'll think of like a scene, or I'll try to think of like what is the sound of this, you know, project, what is the, and I'll think of like a chord progression. I'll literally think of like notes or sounds that make sense to me, and I'll be like, oh, this is what this character is emotionally going through, and I'll translate that through into words, or vice versa. If I don't understand what I'm trying to hear, I'll think of a word or a phrase, and that will unlock me to realize like what I'm hearing. So I've always just kind of had quite a tight connection between music and picture. But music is something I started actually in like middle school. I like taught myself guitar. I was a band nerd on Drumline. I was making YouTube videos of guitar tutorials and instrumentals to a bunch of artists, a lot of Tori Kelly videos. I've since privated them all because they are, I mean, I love them, but that they're very adorable. And yeah, that's where I started with music. It was just a way, I think I moved to America when I was like 8 years old. And it was a way for me to connect with people quicker, was to listen to the music and just that was the first entryway to connect with other people. And then I discovered, you know, movies and TV, and I was like, not only do you get sound, but you also get pictures. Wow. And it felt like this time capsule that you can record memories with your friends, and like you making a movie, and I watched some films I made like 10 years ago. I'm like, oh my God, I can remember exactly what it looked like back then, what I was like. And so, yeah, music is what started all of it. And then luckily I've just been able to keep that side of me also active as a creative through TikTok and through other platforms that luckily other people have connected to, like when I make music too, different and separate from my film work. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So what is the best way to use music in film? I know music plays a very important role. So how do you approach it when you're trying to score your projects?
Oh, well, I don't know how everyone does it, but I do somewhat like I have a very clear, like in my head, I'll already have like what an idea of what the composition and sound bed should be. And by that I mean like it's either you're working with a composer and you already have like the sound, like for Blue Hours, I knew like every note what it needed to be. Like I was in band, so I was like, oh, we're missing, we're missing a clarinet here. We need like to add a little bit of a flair in the auxiliary like items, like all of that kind of stuff I was already really attuned to. I would say honestly just kick off with a playlist. That's what I would recommend anyone. Like when it's, I think it really helps to build like what does your project sonically sound like. And I know that's not a unique or original idea just to me. Like many friends of mine who also direct their own projects will just have like a playlist of all of what the sound is like for their next project, and whenever they want to get back into the mode of writing or get prepped to do stuff for it, they'll just put that on. So yeah, I would probably say start with a banger playlist and then you can go from there.
Okay. Okay. Do you score your films with all your own music?
What's funny is I haven't. Well, I guess the last one I was extremely hands-on with the score. But I am yet to do one fully. I would love to get to do that in the future. I think right now, just at the scale of resources I have, and also just experience, like there are people who are really talented at actually knowing how to score things, and I can make music, but I don't think I can make it at that level quite yet. And so I haven't been able to yet, but I would absolutely adore to at one point be able to. Like being like a Johnny Greenwood to my own film would be crazy. That would be wild. Yeah.
Wow, once again, something to strive for. Yes.
Yeah, a lot
Yeah.
of work ahead is all I'm hearing myself say.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they say it's worth anything that'll advance your abilities is a good thing.
Yeah. No. Be
Yeah.
very lucky.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about character development. So yeah. So what do you like to see in the characters that are in your films?
Okay. Well, I think I prefaced a little bit of it in the entryway. I do like characters that look at the aspects of ourselves that we're maybe scared to confront in real life, and I think that's the escape you get in, when you're creating fictional works, is you have the freedom to imagine, but what if I did the other thing, which maybe you shouldn't do. In my films, a lot of the projects are like, yeah, they are, how do I put them? They're very messy characters, but I always want you to sympathize with them is the thing. I always want you to understand their anxiety, to understand their desperation, understand what's driving them and why they might actually make sense in their motivations, and how we could all be this person too, and that the questions that are driving a character to do something maybe is on the books not too great, like I wouldn't even do, but you understand where they're coming from. They're human emotions, and I think I'm interested in that. And I like also characters that are minority or queer led, or just someone who's not of the status quo, biggest status quo, kind of taking these roles in being imperfect and not having to explain. Like, I want their background obviously is imbued into their character and is enforcing the way they think and move, like is part of their character and is necessary to understand the color of how they're seeing things. And maybe their desperation is because they've had more adversities than other people who have not. But I also, at the same time, want to always make sure that that isn't what the story is now surrounded by, is just that one thing being their full identity. Like, if I'm having a character who's like a Black woman, I don't want it to just be about only the struggles, the common struggles you expect of that character. Like, I want you to see more dimensions And so that's also really important to me, is always to have a very diverse panel of a cast and to, yeah, give them freedom.
Okay, nice. Yeah. Okay, now a totally different subject. Let's talk about your being in the writer's room for the series Bridgerton, which is on Netflix. Yeah, I mean, when I found out about that, I thought that's really very interesting. I mean, writing, of course, is another one of your great interests and disciplines. So, first, tell us about. Well, first, how did you get this assignment? It seems like really a great assignment to have.
It is, and I've been very, very lucky. I always, whenever people ask me that question, or anyone who's in a writer's room at all, it truly is like, it's such a miracle each time, and it's never a conventional path. Like, I was actually just on a job, like on a online web page for female curators who are also like women of color. Sorry, I don't know why I started for a moment there, but a platform that's promoting and helping women of color get into the film industry. And I just literally saw a job posting randomly one day in the middle of, I believe it was right after George Floyd. And the posting just said like, showrunner for big hit Netflix show looking for a showrunner assistant to get their first foot in the door with no experience. Like it looked fake. It looked like these people are going to steal my social security, my identity. And of course I gave them my information. I gave them my resume because I was like, if that is the risk I need to do, I will do it. And so to my massive surprise, like 3 days later, the showrunner of Bridgerton reached out for season 3, and I had an interview with her, and it went really well. She was like, you seem really grounded, good head on your shoulders, but she actually didn't hire me at first. And it's because she knew someone who was already working at Shondaland, who could already get who was already plugged in and had been putting in their time as an assistant, and I hadn't been working for a while and didn't have the materials or a car to do like errands, which are a requirement of like a lot of showrunner assistant roles. And so I was like, thank you. I took it in stride, and we chatted just here and there, but not too often. And then like a year plus later, I reached back out to just check in and be like, hey, in case you're looking for someone, I've got a job now and I have a car and I'm doing these things. If you working on more projects beyond just being dead set on making my short film, the last one, Blue Hour, if you need someone, I've moved on from that project and I have more material. And then, after reaching out, like a few, like 30 seconds, a minute into the call, she was like, would you want to be a writer's assistant if there was an opening? And lo and behold, the room had gone into an extended period, and the person who was already the writer's assistant in that room had moved on to another show and got another gig. So I reached out just at like this serendipitous moment where there was an opening for just some months, and that's literally how I got it. It was I don't know how to recreate that. And I'm very, very lucky to be in the room.
Okay. So what were your responsibilities?
Yeah, I mean, every writer's assistant's main job is to keep track of the notes. So as writers, the way a TV writer's room normally works, at least like WGA or like a studio one, is that a group of people, writers, will come together and they'll be pitching ideas and they'll craft the outlines and then write out the stories, the episodes for a TV show. And the job of the writer's assistant is to take notes and transcribe a lot of those notes, whether it be verbatim or if it's like bullet points, but just to keep track of all the ideas and make sure that none fall through the cracks if a writer is, say, on episodes. So they're like writing the actual pages in the script and they need to like reference something we said, or we're ideating, brainstorming ideas, and it's like, oh, what did that person say last week? We could use that. And so the job of the writer's assistant is to really keep track of all the materials, put it together. And yeah, in our room, we're really, really lucky and fortunate that our showrunner is she's a huge advocate for assistants, like speaking up and being able to also pitch ideas here and there. Obviously, being very cognizant and reading the room of like what moment in time you can to not get in the way of the writers who are on board on the show for that reason. But yeah, it really is showrunner dependent, and we're very lucky with this one that we get to be really hands-on with how we participate in the room. It's not common.
Wow, that is amazing. Yeah, let's see. I saw some posting about a premiere that you attended. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I mean, that's another that's another hats off to our showrunner. Literally, honestly, just sending the entire support staff enough of a Christmas bonus to be able to afford a trip to go, because that's not something that a studio or production company backs. Is they don't usually give any funding for the assistants to go to a premiere. Usually, not even just tickets alone are scarce for support staff to get, and so yeah, I was really lucky this season. First, the season 4 premiere that was in Paris, I got to go, and it was crazy. It was like at this opera house photo shoot, like this whole thing. I met Alondria. I felt like, that is a celebrity, it was a great time. It was fantastic. And of course, seeing all the other writers in the room. And what was really cool was seeing all the fans. Like, people were dripped out. Like, the outfits, they ate us up. It was crazy. I was like, just seeing the impact of how many people cared about it, even just going to the premiere and seeing people on the streets, like outside waiting to see any like actresses or actors passing by. Like, that was crazy. It was like, man, because we're just working in a room, like just 12 people, hunkering away at this for months, and then suddenly there are millions of people who are watching it. Like, that's a crazy juxtaposition. And so it's always very cool. It's always very cool.
Yeah. Okay. So it sounds like that you didn't have the opportunity to be on set while the filming was actually being done.
No, so they actually shoot in the UK.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I mean, most of the writers actually live in the States. And so we work virtually, and we split some of the time also in person. But yeah, the set is kind of across the world, so it's a little difficult for me to reach on the day-to-day, but I am trying. I would love to go at some point in person to see what it's like to put the words to life, especially as a person who wants to also eventually also direct my own projects. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That would be a very exciting experience. Sure. Yeah. Now, does your name actually appear in the credits?
Yes. Yeah, actually, I had a friend took a photo and sent it to me. I didn't even bother checking. I was like, I'm buried somewhere in there, but she found it and she sent it to me, and now I've saved it. So yes, it is in the credits. You can find me.
Oh, excellent. That's got to be so exciting.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
should send it to my mom, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Oh, that is fantastic. Okay. Let's see. Then we're going to stop again for another commercial, and we'll be right back. I'm Alan Greenstein, founder and producer at Support Our Creatives. If you make something, albeit make a movie, start a business, write a book, make a physical product, run a nonprofit, promote people, are a songwriter, etc., you too are a creative, and I would love to have you be a guest on the Support Our Creatives podcast. If you want to be featured on this podcast, please use the contact tab on my website at supportourcreatives.com or email me directly at alan@supportourcreatives.com. Okay, we're back. Okay, let's see. So, what other projects are you planning stage? What's next for Fiona?
Ooh, well, I do have a lot of schemes for this year. I like to call my little projects schemes because honestly, pulling any creative feat out, especially in this economy, always does feel like you've pulled a heist off or something. Anyway, I would love to make more projects this year if the runway is there, and by that I mean like job, time, resources financially, and with the people who are just available. Yeah, I'd love this year. It's a main big aspect for me to just be creative and put projects out with less overthinking. I think that's the biggest thing that gets in the way of any creative person and a perfectionist and people who, no good taste and have been working at something, they want to put great work out. I'm trying this year to not filter myself as much, and so that's one aspect. Another thing is I'm putting out weekly YouTube videos that are just giving the POV and all of the advice and more thorough like breakdown of like how I've search for funding or done location scouting on my current project, on previous projects, just trying to share as much knowledge and make the process of making TV shows and web series and stuff seem really fun and like something that is accessible for people to still do. Because I think as of the late, a lot of the news about Hollywood is very, everything's dead. There's not like as much motion going on. And I want to inspire people to be like, okay, the roadways are quite shattered, but maybe there's another way you can do it with just your friends and putting things together. So yeah, that's the other thing I've really been keen on promoting this year. Is kind of just like the behind the scenes entire process around making, you know, this project and whichever ones that might come in the future.
You know, that is a great idea. You know, people always want to know how it goes on behind the scenes and what the process is. I know
Yeah, no,
I'm interested
exactly.
in myself. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I want other people to see like how I talk to my producers, my cinematographers. I'm onboarding so many different crew heads. What is it like discussing our overheads, shot references, paintings, sound, all of that stuff to just make it seem very accessible, and it's not like a foreign thing. They can just steal these tricks and make their own, you know, projects come to life.
Are you planning to release a bunch of ebooks, for example, as you document the process?
Oh, I haven't even thought about that. Thank you for the business rec idea. I think this year I'm trying to make sure I just get the project done and at most document the process around it. But maybe in the future, that's like a really cool idea to, once I have a bigger library, maybe to encapsulate in something like that would be really cool to do.
Okay. Did you? I don't know if you mentioned. Are you going to be putting a bunch of YouTube videos of this?
Yeah, no, I've already started rolling some out. They're just on my YouTube personal page. I need to clip and get back to doing more short form or vertical videos as well. But yes, that is, yeah, because I understand long form is a little bit harder to gain an audience for, but I'm hoping to just build a big enough library that people will at some point run into it, and then when they do, they'll be like, oh, there's a lot more I can get. So yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's great, and something that's very useful to so many people, even me. You know.
Yeah, no, truly. Like by all means, like watch the video and make your own thing if you want to.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. See. So yeah. So I was going to ask the next question about what advice can you provide for people and to want to emulate what you do, and by your documenting the process, that definitely is one way.
Yeah, no, literally, that's honestly been the main thing behind it, is that like, I think inspiration comes when you can also like see how this is a viable avenue for you to make your project too. And at least for me, having worked out here, I live in LA. I'm very lucky to like be on the ground. It's still the place where a lot of people, it's like a dream career to be able to do this. And I need to often remind myself when I'm like, oh my God, when's my next job coming and stuff? I need to remind myself that I'm still here being able to make a project. That's so lucky. And I feel like I've felt and seen and dealt with the writer's strike and the pandemic and just so many things that have come up to make doing this thing when you don't come from, honestly, to be quite frank, if you don't come from money or connections already, it's quite tough. And I've only seen the level of difficulty increase exponentially. And so I get that it's really tough, but I'm really, really keen on making it be a thing that other people feel like they can still do on their own, even if they can't maybe like move out here immediately, or they can find a way to do it themselves at home. I think I've also been seeing the content creation boom rise really largely and like become where a lot of audiences and advertisers move. And so I think there's a way for people to still make this an aspirational career for themselves independently. But I do know it's really tough when you're outside to be like how. And so that's just been like, that's why I'm making these videos as I'm making my project, to also just literally share as much secrets as I can. Cause yeah, otherwise it's quite tough. Like I honestly couldn't even, I don't know if I could like explain to someone who's just getting into film school right now, like these are just the things you need to do and then you'll be able to make it. I don't think it's like that anymore. Or I just think it's a lot harder. So I think figuring out how to just make a project on your own is, at least right now, the most I could recommend. And the most I can do is share the knowledge I have.
Yeah, that is very important. That people to have that ability to be able to do it, as they say, on their own as much as possible.
Yeah. And it's like, well, then how do you find the money to do it and stuff? Like, they're really serious questions that I think people gloss over when they say, oh, just do it yourself. I'm like, well, that's not going to help me. So maybe what will help you is like being like, okay, this is how I search for funding, these kinds of things. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, as I said, it's gonna be really helpful to people for sure. Yeah. You mentioned the vertical videos. I noticed you see a lot more of that these days. So what are the advantages, if any, of using vertical videos?
Short form content is really great for exposure, I'd say. It is a lot lower of a ask from people because you're only asking them to watch like 10 or 30 seconds or a minute. It's not a big ask and people can watch through a lot. And so I think the ease makes the friction of people are more willing to watch a lot of creators they don't know yet. And so that's why I'm like, I think it's still very wise. And that's still where I think I have the largest platform right now is, on TikTok. And I've taken a pause from that to reassess what kind of short form stuff I want to make. But yeah, it's great. I think it's a great avenue. The only thing I'll say with short form is sometimes because people are only seeing your work for such a small little pocket of time, the people forget you a lot easier because they're watching so much stuff so quickly. It's different from like a long form or a podcast, something like this where you're in depth, you're hearing people talk, and you're connecting with them in depth for like 30 minutes to an hour, or 10 minutes, whatever it is. It's just longer. And so you build a deeper bond, a deeper connection with that person. And so the benefits of short form is that like larger reach, that's easier to access quicker, but long form gives more depth and community. And so those are the two things. It's difficult because I guess the recommendation is just do both.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Is there anything else that you want to bring up that we haven't discussed?
Ooh. No, honestly, like the YouTube stuff I'm doing is like been the main thing of just like, please don't give up hope, because I think the people who do come from the marginalized communities or don't have as many resources and like the access, I think there's a lot of really badass ideas that just don't come to life because the people don't have the means to make them happen. And so, but please don't give up. And like, there is a lot of information out there. I'm trying to share as much as I can to, like build other ladders for other people to access to. So yeah, that's it. If you can help someone else, make their project and your own, like, I think we're good. Yeah.
Great words. Yes, definitely. Yeah. So, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you? Is it your website or where?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's funny. I think like Instagram has almost become like a business card in a way. And so I would probably say just there at Fiona Kida, or that's like my same handle on every platform. Just my name.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Let me put that out there for Instagram. Okay. But anyway, folks, I'm in case you want to take a look at Fiona's website, let me post that also.
It's also FionaKida.com. Yeah.
Yeah. As you can see, it's the obvious URL. And so also, there's a great, documentation of the stuff that Fiona has done. So go there as well.
Thank you so much, Alan. You're so freaking cool. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I hope to convey, make my time with this podcast useful for people to learn about my guests.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay then. So once again, thanks to Fiona for being on tonight, and looking forward, as always, to all the projects that you were working on and projects to come. Yeah, and
Thank you so much, Alan.
Yeah, and I want to point out to people that this was thanks for people who actually have been watching this both live And also thank you for the people who are watching this on the replay. Among other places where you'll be able to catch replay will be some Spotify, as well as a Canadian platform called Jess TV, Jess TV, where my podcast, where my show is also seen. So keep that in mind. And once again, I'd like to thank Fiona for being on tonight. And good night, everybody.